Hello to all, and thank you all for watching. This is Manny Sunnysun for a Libran report, Libra, Venus, and the house number 7. Well, the sign Libra is the second air sign of the zodiacal series and relates to autumnal equinox here, the transition to the balanced energy of the equinox ruled by Venus, or Aphrodite, planet of love and cohesion. Libra is the analogous to the 7th house, concerning to relationships, marriage, and union. So see the typical Librans and analogies of this sign, the psychology of this planet, and descriptions of what the sign can produce in worst in humanity. We will finish them off with personality strongly influenced by Venetian values. So, Libran portraits. I'll say hello to you all. A preliminary observation, I think it would be much wiser if I tell you something and talking about me, because I sincerely believe that it is through the other that finds the best. Finally, the rules is, and I respect that. I bend and to exercise without assure that the result will be convincing. To say that the balance is hesitant, Libra, the scales, is hesitant, and I must admit that is true. In fact, when weighed sufficiently, the pros and cons, it is always difficult to choose or even to have a strong opinion. You have to be in the shade and do not see things unliterally. I am still considering the fate of others in my life. Even if I put myself in their shoes, I sometimes struggle to think like him. Let's say I try to react according to what I should do or what I should think instead of another. In terms of pure empathy, the ability to feel the other, I think it's more of a quality of a Pisces for the whole process that seems fairly streamlined to a home. They tell me I'm attractive in any case. I do not know the effect, and I'm happy even if I do not consider abusing my own charms. Well, not too much. The big advantage of pleasing is that people are kind, and it suits me because I hate fighting. It is not nothing that I am about tumultuous as an Aries. One point I would like to clarify is that by against the weakness. Librans are purely decorative creatures destined to be trampled on, unable to fend for his or herself in life. Surely not. Do not be fooled by appearance, because in my heart lies dormant. Saturn, the second master of this own sign, gives me, when necessary, all the obstinacy, stubbornness that I need to see. So, a proverb would say, nothing beats a slacker who goes to work. And I recognize myself there. Okay, I do not like things, grunt, chores, stolting work, but beware, if I ever start an activity, especially an intellectual type, but also an artistic nature, I can focus almost indefinitely. And once a decision or resolution is taken, I'm like a train set on the tracks. While in the shade near the others in strength can still end up discouraged, because if work is neither valued nor shared, why bother? Finally, I repeat, everything is a nuance in this world. That I do not need encouragement literally, as a friend of Leo does. But sharing solitary work does not attract me whatsoever. In love, I think it's rather conciliatory. Although my face expresses disapproval, it seems that I am expressive, and you read me like a book. I know 7 times. Turns my tongue into my mouth, and as I say, leave my companion to flourish as he or she wishes. Leakage of conflict, or simply good interpersonal skills, you turn to me to judge. In any case, I do not agree to the like, except perhaps in my use as everybody is. And love for me is a serious field. As an astrologer told me, both Venus is my sign, and Saturn precisely means love and serious, or something closer. I do not exactly know. I'm a little up in the sky, or sometimes also I think that we Librans, the couple, took so seriously that some of us end up condemning a poor relation. So it is not that we renounce love, and it's not that. In addition, I'm convinced deep within us that everything can always be arranged with goodwill, in which why we get along with Sagittarius when optimism and energy is very pleasing. So, I share this sign of love. Above me, there's Virgo, a taste for order, cleanliness, and pleasantries. But I think what differentiates us from that image is that there is a Virgin prefers a square. I opt for the round. I mean, by this is that the office of Virgo Virgin here is such a practice of organizational model, while mine may be more messy, but also much more pleasant because it has 100 small but very useless objects. In short, I very make well been prevail over pure order because I am very sentimental and I accumulate without even realizing thousands of trinkets that often have value in my eyes. My main qualities, I do not know. I would say, what am I really tolerant of? I have much patience with people that I like and a little less with the others. I know how to listen and be impartial. The balance is also very romantic and sentimental. And I think those qualities that are embedded in this world, if more people have them. Well, I do acknowledge these two qualities that drive these two defects, which also as a sufferer as I do, I know is sadly naive and sad because often I disappointed or even betrayed. I also feel over the years disheartened myself as happy because I feel stronger now that I've neglected some of my ideals. Financially, I'm a little spendthrift. I love beautiful things, outings, holidays, and also not free, but what is this slaving to the tighten of their belts. However, you can trust with the purse and worry because I'm basically honest and very mindful of my own responsibilities. Professionally, my ambitions is average. I wish I had an honorable and well-paid job, but I'm really not need to be spoiled the weekend and public holidays for this purpose. It's about the arts that flourish me most in collaborative work. Why I think I have not been around, and then my follower in the order of the zodiac. I feel that that the Scorpio has just arrived, and so it is. So the analogous connections for a Libran, where you may find Librans, are in town halls, art galleries, courthouses, at administrations, common rooms. And certain professions for this sign would be a referee, justice of the peace, artistic professions, human resources. Astrological analogies for this house is an air sign, house number 7. Its home is in Libra. Certain qualities for this sign is affectionate, delicate, elegant, conciliatory. Body and health and anatomical description for a Librans would be the kidneys, the gallbladder, and the appendix. Astronomical analogies for this sign would be the diameter of that of Mercury and Venus is other than the inner world, that is to say between the Earth and the Sun. Viewed from Earth, it appears to be a very bright and shining star whose shimmering brilliance is inspired by early poets. They saw that a sort of celestial diamond. Moreover, unlike Mercury faithfully accompanies the Sun, Venus can be observed independently of him, especially during the light of Venus, during the winter solstice. It seems very well that its own light is beyond its own beauty, appearing at different times of her own cycle. At dawn or dusk, it seems equally linked to the sun and the moon. One must also say that it is the third fixture of our sky. A pain importance indeed cannot be overlooked. Also is called evening star. Venus is the star traditionally followed by the Magi for their guide. One that leads men to their most charitable acts. And Mercury rotates west to east. Venus does the opposite, as mentioned, to pass from the heart to reason and dialectic. Geologically, Venus is composed by basaltic rocks and orange and has many craters, such as Cleopatra and numerous mountains, Ishtar and Terra. Certain symbolic analogies for this Venusian side. Well, Venus in the Catholic religion can be compared to the great figures of the Virgin Mary. Venus in Libra And Mary Magdalene, Venus in Taurus. The first, spiritual love, Platonism, the symbol of purity and justice. The second is the embodied, is the lover, the woman from the working class. It is human and carnal love, fertility, and symbol of dedication and charity. Venus through the arts is a symbol of beauty, youth, protection, pleasure. She is very woman in the essential complement to that of man. Mars, as well as the moon, is the image of the mother. In opposition to that is father, the sun. So Venus is Aphrodite. She is the woman who sexually, its generative role is the seductive temptress, and in the sense it could bring in the closer to Lilith. Adam's first wife in the Kabbalistic tradition, independent from a woman, claiming to its own identity, separately from the side of that of his partner. So Venus in the morning, Venus accompanied by the sun, it is found as the concept of love and creativity. And Venus in the evening is accompanied by the moon, is reflected to the notion of romance and fertility. Venus, as we have said, is all kinds of small and intermediate luminaries, connecting with the solar and lunar values into the whole. Its role is reconciliation, harmonization, generation, in the sense what generates, which product do we support. So in mythological analogies for this sign, of course, we have discussed Aphrodite, born of the ocean, joined by Olympus, Eros, love, eroticism, and Hymenos, desire or love, affairs, nuptials. His mere presence is enough to subdue the gods and provoking the wrath of their jealous woman. His way to adventure show how love is universal, and her image is to Hephaestus, the deformed god of the forge, meanwhile shows that love is blind. The two aspects of love here is emotional and physical are well described. Physical love is libido, probably best illustrated by the paradoxical, also complementary toric of Venus, Mars, the woman and man, peace and war, the expectation and action. Other details for this sign would be that we distinguish in the chart according to the position of Venus to be the sun, two main types of emotional orientation. Venus Lucifer here means light bearer, is before the sun in the zodiacal meaning, for example, Aries, while the sun is in Taurus. It characterizes spontaneous affectivity, outgoing, enthusiastic, and idealistic. The one that values more closer to Venus is moon of Taurus. So, Venus Hesperus. Hesperus means western, and therefore evening is also after the sun in the meaning of 20 degrees of Gemini, while at the sun is at 10 degrees of that same sign. It characterizes more of a controlled affectivity, more introverted, less exuberant, and more deeper and reasonable. It is further the approximation of the values of Venus. Saturn in Libra. So a portrait of a very dominant Venetian portrait would be, it is necessary for anyone, for a Libran, to fall in these particular features. Indeed, if a natal chart, Venus is the ruling planet, see the calculations of this dominant lexicon. Natives naturally develop these qualities and these defects of this planet of mistress, traditionally the sign of Libra. However, the dominance of Venus shows subtle shades of temperamental compared to the dominance of the sign of Libra. Here's a portrait of a Venusian sign. The image of seduction. His whole being embodies the feelings of harmony, inspiration, whether that be physical or intellectual, filled to sensitivity. He perceives before the other existing enigmatic relationships between sounds, colors, smells, shapes, beings, and things. This sign will be able to meet the expectations of others before they are even made. It will stimulate the creativity of those around him, even through his great intuition, but without direct involvement. Indeed, it helps to encourage meetings, exchanges, clashes of ideas or conception without actually participating, because he or she may be likely shy. So this timidity of inaction, laziness, but may as well give it a force of inertia without equal pay. It has to intervene. It will always do so with charm, persuasion, to overcome these conflicts that may arise. His diplomacy is exaggerated, may seem like a form of weakness in the eye of some, such as demonstrating a clear understanding for others. Venetians are always looking for balance for his life and those of others. So if he tries to find stability between his conscience and imagination, this is a person that works on instinct fiercely, opposed to that of order and method, which they consider an obstacle to beauty. Grace and freedom, indeed. He wants to live without impediment of all his qualities that he believes are governed solely by the nature and universal laws. He is always ready to excuse his mistakes or the mistakes of others, and if they are directly facing that person, disappointment will result in friendliness or passive disproportionate. Compassion for Venus is incapable of rancor or resentment to those who have disappointed or betrayed. The concepts of hostility, animosity, or malice are unknown. He rejects conflicts in all their forms. The Venusian type here has a huge desire to please, as he often doubts his or her abilities to become attractive. In her life, it will be in search of understanding a partner that brings him comfort and security he needs. His personality is rather indecisive, careless, even fickle, and if he becomes too attached to people that oppose to him, he knows how to play with a little laugh, a move, nothing and everything. Nature is gregarious. The Venusian type always seeks to cut corners and calming all situations. The professional environment, which involves no exception to this rule, it will turn out more readily to the trades directly related with everything related to aesthetics in the broadest sense: barber, perfumer, painter, sculptor, decorator, etc. If the rest of the theme allows, it will be a process of all the capabilities to embrace arbitration, such as lawyers, advisors, consultants, or ambassadors. The sign of a vitriolic portrait of this sign, human beings, can involve erasing its flaws and highlighting its qualities, and it happens instead that it's deeply embroiled in the negative impulses. This can go into circumstances of alcoholism, particularly difficult, the accumulation of neurosis. So the fact remains still, his own values are largely corrupt and can make a portrait vitriolic. This occurs for both men and women. So negative balance for a Libran. They look themselves in laziness or to breast or the balance of the scales. Although potentially charming and talented, the scales of Libran, having no desire other than to strut and have fun, it is folded in pragmaticism, needs as being the most beautiful, having all the comforts to do as little as possible. He or she will spend a lot of time taking care of himself, his beauty, his medical visits, dietitian, UV, and quickly develop a sense of narcissist complex, even though it has not always objectively takes to spend so much energy to preserve its plastic hypothetical questioning. So traditional and moralizing. The sign of Libra, the scales, negatively, willingly to the great stinger with its tongue. But if someone has a misfortune to address or to critique, not only does not recognize it, but he or she would want more insolence because she or she sees only purity and so sweetness and everything so perfect. So dependent on others because of a partition or least effort, never procrastinate is a or the other can do for you at the same day. So manipulations of choice, if she or him have a gift to make others feel guilty and play on the chord. His egoism is such that the ills or the world, far from feeling sorry for the other, can irritate. Also, please leave your problems at the door by entering her home. His report is specific to the hierarchy of with strong support which it seeks. It will be relentless, sometimes even cruel with those with whom she has nothing to gain. So this has been a vitriolic portrait, and if you have any further questions, don't hesitate to ask. The sign of Libra related to the 7th house, and it's the second air sign of the zodiacal series. Thank you all for watching.